My name's David Sumich. I'm the Managing Director of Volta Mining. Our projects are in West Africa, and that is our focus, yeah. It's gold in Burkina Faso. They're early stage projects in Burkina Faso. That's half of the company. The other half relates to iron ore interest in Gabon. So that's combined is still a West African focus. The key message is that we've got a strong support in Australia. We're looking for additional shareholders, European shareholders that understand Africa. But the key message is we offer exploration upside on the Burkina properties, but also significant upside from an iron ore team that has had a track record in West Africa to deliver success as we've done in the past on the iron ore.
I think the story was a very interesting one. The track record of the whole management team, having already gone through the whole cycle of developing a resource and then selling it on into an end investor, producing value for their current investors, and now looking to repeat the exercise again, will help them tremendously in their capital raising exercise going forward. The prospect of the new iron ore resource in Gabon is going to add significant value to the balance sheet of the company, resulting in, again, the opportunity to raise capital for the drill program.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's David Sumich, and I'm very happy to talk to you this afternoon about Volta Mining. By way of background, some of you may be aware the name Volta Mining came from Burkina Faso, where one of the countries that we operate used to be called Upper Volta, and there's also the Volta River, which travels through that part of Africa. The standard disclaimer, the presentation is available on our website if you want to see that in detail. So in summary, I guess, Volta Mining offers shareholders two ways for upside. The first way is through exploration of our gold properties in Burkina Faso, and the second way is through backing the management for the acquisition of iron ore projects in Gabon. So these are two ways we're offering shareholders upside. And I guess it's my task over the next 15 or 20 minutes to explain how we're going to do that. We're listed in Australia. One of the reasons why we're here, and one of the reasons, as I say, why we're here is we feel it's a good mix. We've got good home country support, as what you could call it, from Australia. We've done 2 capital raisings, but given that we're in Africa, we feel that there's a better understanding in for some aspects of Africa, and a better appetite for the stage of development that we're at. But it does work in well, as I say, being listed in Australia and potentially raising money down the track in London. So as I said, it's gold and iron ore. I'll talk further about that as we go through. A little bit of background about how Volta came about. The management team for Volta was previously listed a company in 2007, DMC Mining. We listed that at an IPO valuation of $5 million. We bought an iron ore project, the Mayoko iron ore project, for $1.5 million. We did the Aeromag agreement, not Aeromag, but then rail and port agreements. Then in 2010, got taken over for $50 million cash bid. There was a takeover, struggle you could call it, between Chinese company Meijing and also Cape Lambert. In the end, it was a $50 million takeover in 2010. That Mayoko project now has been taken over again by Exaro for $330 million. So the whole team from DMC has come to Volta, and that leads on to the vision or objective for Volta is essentially to replicate that, replicate or even in fact exceed what we did at DMC. So again, I'll talk further about the track record there. So at the end of the day, we feel we're a very good ground level entry into West Africa and gold and iron ore. So I'm going to talk about the corporate vision, a bit more detail there, and then the gold projects and iron ore combined with a summary. As mentioned, we're in West Africa. The 2 commodities are gold and iron ore. We do attempt to build a pipeline of projects that can reduce the risk, the diversification of countries, and also diversification of assets. So we listed in October 2011. That was a capital raise of just $3 million. Since then, we've been fairly active. We've acquired further projects in Burkina Faso, and we've also completed a 10,000 metre auger drilling program, started and completed, of course, with results just recently been announced. So the share price has been reasonably firm, I guess on the back of the fact that we've been active on both acquisition and results. So medium-term goals are essentially to more of the same in terms of pipeline of projects, and I'll talk further about the projects, but in terms of an RC program which we have planned. Apologies. Okay, corporate snapshot. We just completed the capital raise. We have now 3.3 million in the bank. So we're not here for capital raising per se. We're here more for the future of Volta. And as I mentioned before, we feel London might make sense. So total issued capital 44 million, as you can see, gives us a market cap 11.5 million, and with some options out there. The shareholding summary is fairly typical. Reasonably large portion of Australian retail, and then a fairly sort of standard mix of Australian institutions and overseas institutions. In terms of the board, myself, I've got a corporate background or investment banking background, but involved with public companies, DMC the most recent from 2007. Prior to that, a company called Globe Metals and Mining, which operates in Malawi and Mozambique. That listed in 2005. I'm now off that board. That's recently had a cash injection from state-owned Chinese company, ECE, for $50 million. So that's gone from an anomaly down now to which is at a BFS stage. Alain Gachet is former Total in Republic of Congo. George Lazar is a corporate background, and David we appointed as he's got the largest Indigenous foundation in Australia. Very successful, and we will use his skills in terms of community relations. The other point I'll make down there, I guess by giving this presentation, it's sometimes implicit that we want or we feel we're good value. The point I'm making there is I've purchased nearly 700,000 shares of Volta since listing on market, from 20 cents to I guess around now 26 cents. So if I'm sort of suggesting other people should do it, there's nothing wrong with myself doing it as well. In terms of share price, not a lot of comment here. It's just the share price as it has been and the timeline of events. One comment is it's been fairly firm, and it's been firm because of our activity, I guess. Acquisitions and results have been quite encouraging. So even in a difficult market, the share price has been firm around 25, 26 cents. So in terms of more detail on the gold projects now, I'll just spend sort of 5 or 10 minutes running through the gold before I move on to the iron ore. And there's other speakers today have been talking about Africa. So where our focus is West Africa, and more specifically Francophone West Africa. Why that? A lot of that is around our experience in West Africa, but also our people are based in Burkina. The laws are the same through most of these Francophone countries. Laws and mining codes are typically, as I say, are all the same. And there's lots of stats. I won't go through all this, but lots of stats in terms of growth and exploration potential and the like. But our two focus countries, Burkina and Gabon. This is a map, a company's controlled risks. I know there's another company here does something very similar. We don't pick them out for any particular reason, but the point here is that both Burkina Faso rates as very good in terms of risk, and also Gabon is probably one of the standout countries in Africa in terms of just being low risk. It's a very wealthy country, oil-based, and to say very low risk, but Burkina as well. Lots of gold activity, lots of explorers, lots of productions happening there at the moment, and no one has any problems at all. Again, I'll just quickly go through this, but I'm assuming most of the audience is reasonably familiar with the success stories of Burkina, especially the last 2 or 3 years. Its infrastructure is extremely good. It's gone from 1 mine in 2007 to now 6 mines, and there's probably, I think the stats there is 60 foreign companies exploring in Burkina. None of them have any problems at all. It's very easy to explore, and the results, of course, have been very good in terms of big deposits and above average grades. This is a map, geological map of Burkina, a summary of our licences. We have 6 licences in Burkina. I agree with Dr. Williams, who made the comment before, in terms, I think sometimes areas are overrated in terms of size. We have a good size area, 1,200 square kilometres, over 6 licences, two main licence areas. Lots of greenstone in Burkina, and we have our 2 projects. So I'll talk first about what we're calling the Koro project, which comprises three licences. Actually, I'll just go back. So one thing I just didn't mention is Volta's terms, our commercial terms. We have 100% or option to go to 100%. We've done a deal with the local vendors who have these licences. It's generally fairly positive for us. We pay $200,000 in total over 3 years, but it's all back-ended, so we're paying like $10,000 or $20,000 in the first year. We can pull out at any stage without any commitments. So we've just a few comments here about the auger results that we've just released. So it's geochem, or gold in soil, if you like, going down to 15 to 20 metres in the weathered zone. The summary of the results from Koro is that we're extremely exciting. We think there's a million ounce potential. We're a long way from getting there, but it's a million ounce potential because of the size potential and the anomalies that we've got to date. Just to actually zoom in on the 2 areas. To the south there is the Koro project, to the north is Palga. But typically what's been the most success in Burkina has been contact points or shear zones between the greenstone belts and the greenstone and the granites. We're in the right region in terms of other deposits, Clutz Gold, Kelsaka deposit, 30 k's to the north, the Bissa deposit and the Karma deposit. So there's a lot of success stories where we are, and of course in Burkina in general. In terms of the Koro, and this just sort of goes to our strategy, and this is where the success of most companies in Burkina has come from, and that revolves around artisanal mining. So on our project, a lot of artisanal miners, they typically mine something like 10 grams a tonne. They go down 20, 30 metres. It's excellent in terms of a starting point. It's our starting point, and with some of our auger results, 11,000 parts per million or 11 grams a tonne in soil, it's extremely high. And what that's done for us is, obviously it's exciting in terms of those numbers, but also the size potential. But yeah, it's the artisanal mining is the starting point. This is an image there with the artisanal mining sort of indicated into the top of the image. That's about 500 metres long. That's the artisanal mining area. We've got another artisanal mining along the shear zone to the southwest, so it's a couple of kilometres away. That's definitely well and truly enough of the size potential, and what it's led to is just very good RC targets. Our other project, just sort of reasonably quickly, I'll flick through this, is the Dusari project. That's more in the granite. But like the Koro project, very encouraging auger numbers. 1,000 parts per billion in the soil, or 1 gram per tonne is extremely high, very encouraging. And again, like the Koro, really good size potential. Outcrops 20 grams per tonne, lots of 20 grams per tonne sort of numbers. A long strike. So in summary of the 2 projects, we feel that they're certainly as good as many other explorers in Burkina who've come up with very good results. So it's very exciting. So from here we have about a 4,000 metre RC drilling program, fully funded from our cash resources of 3.3 million. Also a 20,000 metre auger infill program, time frame 6 to 8 months. We've got a very good team in Burkina, so in terms of getting drill rigs and getting results out, we're in a very strong position. And the outcome from this drilling program, of course, is effectively a proof of concept that will precede a resource drill out. And the final slide here in terms of the gold is what I've put up here is Volta on the left, our market cap 11 million, and there's six Australian companies who are exploring in Burkina. They are all, some of them are ahead of us, some are in the RC programs. I guess the point is here, with a successful RC program, I'm effectively stating the obvious, but we can jump into the next category, of course, and their sort of market cap anywhere from 20 to 50 million. So there's lots of comparables, lots of examples, that we've got, and of course there's some huge success stories, or at least Australian ones anyway, and Palga and Griffin, which have come up in the last sort of even 3 or 4 years with 2 and 3 million ounce deposits, as very good sort of benchmarks, if you like. So now just to talk about Gabon. We feel the gold is a very good backstop for the company. They're company makers in their own rights. But what can give shareholders for Volta is even a bigger impact to our share price is the iron ore projects. So I just want to talk for a moment about Gabon. Why Gabon? What I've got here is a map of Central West Africa, iron ore deposits, and some of you may be quite familiar with West Africa. We believe in West African iron ore. We feel there's a lot of way to go. It does take a bit longer, just given that it's Africa and dealing with infrastructure. But lots of well-known deposits here. Sundance up in the north there of Congo and Cameroon. You've got Koro mining. The Mayoko deposit, as I mentioned there, is down in the Republic of Congo on the border with Gabon. So there's lots of iron ore deposits. In terms of Gabon, we feel Gabon is the best country in West Africa, and it's the best for a number of reasons. One is the geology is very good. Infrastructure is better than most. You've got the Trans-Gabon Railway going from Libreville down to Franceville. It's a bulk haulage, standard gauge bulk haulage rail. Anything along that is definitely available for a bulk haulage operation. And I guess the point there with Mayoko went from a $1.5 million acquisition that we made in 2007 to now 330 million. My comment there with that is that deposit is actually not better than many others. It's really the infrastructure that made that story. It's a bulk haulage, it's a very old rail, but it still is there and it needs refurbishment, but that's essentially what puts that price tag on Mayoko. Gabon also has no cross-border issues. Some of the challenges were, for example, Sundance. It's got a very high valuation. It's doing very well. But one of the big challenges for Sundance is the cross-border situation and getting governments to agree. Tax issues, revenue issues, all these sorts of problems come up if you try and transport a bulk commodity cross-border. And sort of one of the last reasons is in terms of Belinga. Belinga is the biggest, and probably the best iron ore deposit outside Australia or Brazil, second only to Simandou. It's 4 billion tonnes at 60%. That will go ahead. At the moment, historically the Chinese have had it, but there's talk of BHP having it. At the end of the day, it will be developed. So the Belinga deposit can and will drive any further infrastructure development that's required. Our acquisitions are around Belinga. So our acquisitions will be a large area. I can't put on this map specifically, just as we haven't got it yet, but it will be around Belinga and certainly will have a big impact to Volta. By way of history again, when DMC acquired Mayoko, DMC was 20 cents and announced, and that was a different market, but went from 20 cents to $1. When we announced the Mayoko acquisition back in December 2007. So these are just some comments or some bullet points regarding our application. We can leverage off Belinga. We feel our acquisition is better than our Mayoko acquisition in DMC back in 2007. It was a better opportunity than Mayoko initially presented, and we intend to have an exploration target, but it will be early stage. The point here is that I'm making this slide is that it's all well and good to get an iron ore licence, and there's more to an iron ore story or developing it than just drilling and geology. It's rail agreements, port agreements, and the real key relationships with government. And the point here is that it's not just myself who was with DMC. Essentially the whole management team from DMC has come across now to Volta. So it's myself, Alan Gachet, Mohammed Mankala, his former coffee West African manager, and Liviu Tusa, who's a senior geologist. So the whole team has come across. We've all worked together successfully, and yeah, should we get the license, we're in a very strong position to add value, and we have some concept of how to add value. This is just a quick timeline of the event at DMC, and the point I made in the previous slide was that it's not just about geology for iron ore projects. Rail agreements and port agreements are just as crucial. This here is just to sort of reinforce the point that in terms of relationships in Gabon, pre-acquisition and post-acquisition, there's the Gabonese delegation came to Australia for a political agenda. Volta took the opportunity to sponsor the president and a ministry delegation of about 70 people at a breakfast. Of course, the president not directly involved in what we're doing, but people like the Minister of Mines are crucial post-acquisition, and forging strong relationships. So, backing the Volta team to get the right licenses, I guess it's crucial, and we're crucial that we have those correct relationships. So that's essentially it. I hope I've sort of explained how we can replicate what we did at DMC. We feel in a very strong position to do that. In terms of the summary of Volta, we're in a strong position to acquire the iron ore assets, but importantly we've got a track record of doing so. This is the only company that I'm a director of, no other non-exec direct roles, and we've got some experience in not only developing, the other important point there is with DMC again, that when the takeover came, it was us who introduced the Chinese party. So it's pretty important at some point, or the right point, to be able to introduce, for example, a Chinese group or some other group that can give the shareholders an opportunity to monetize their value. And so we've been through the whole process before, essentially. The gold assets have the potential to be a company maker in their own right. That's effectively the backstop. The RC program to commence is going to be a good flow of results from the RC gold program, and as I mentioned a couple of times, the Gabon iron ore acquisition has the ability to greatly increase our market cap. So on that note, thank you for your attention.